Hi guys, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm very much delighted to have every one of us here, and we'll be treating special and very important topic, and it's about the whole tax reform we've always heard about. All right. So for over a period of 2 months now, we've heard a lot about this tax. There have been rumors here and there about the tax reforms. Who is it for? What is it all about? So today, I want to hint on a couple of other things. Remember, this class would run for a period of 4 weeks, and the 4 weeks be centered around tax only. So it's a very master class, and I want to specially say it now. This class is free, so that nobody would say he or she was charged for this class. It's free. So you can actually clap for me. I have a very good mind. Okay, I'm benevolent. You can equally call me the Father Christmas of taxation, and I will answer you. It's very awesome. So one of the things we'll look into today is what taxes are we to pay? And I also want to tell you that if you can do this, I'm about to say, you might eventually not pay this tax. I'm not trying to teach you how to evade the tax or tax evasion, but just flow with me first. All right. So I want to tell you that to bring to your awareness that you can seek tax reform from the government if the government does the following thing and you don't like what they're doing. You can actually ask the government to refund your tax on certain conditions. All right. So also the truth and ties about lies. They always say, can all show pay tax? Will everyone pay tax? The rumors have been wide and far spreading, but now we'll bring clarity to all of this. And then there are special kind of people that will earn so much money, like they will become the millionaires and the billionaires of taxation. Tax will make them so rich, like very, very extremely rich. And I'll give you this class of people that will be so rich with taxation. So I want us to flow with this now. Let's dive in. So, but before we go into this, I want to bring something to your notice. Sometimes when we talk about tax, there are a couple of things we need to know. For everything, it has an origin. It came from somewhere. It started from somewhere. So I want to break it down first, because if you miss the principle, if you miss the fundamentals, you might never get the result. So if the foundation is corrupt, your result will be corrupt. So people fear tax because they believe that tax is evil, tax is bad. Sometimes tax can be when he's in a very bad taskmaster. But let me tell you how tax started. When communities are growing, just like you have in a family, as people are growing up, there becomes to be functions and functionalities needed. There is need for someone to watch the plates. There is need for someone to sweep the house. There is need for someone to cobweb the ceiling. There is need for someone to cook. And sometimes when people can't keep up with this, they prefer to appoint a captain. In secondary schools, then we can call them class captains, prefects. We appoint these people so that they can coordinate these activities. And along the line, because money is needed to coordinate these things, we might start saying, okay, how much do we need to contribute so we can buy detergent that we use to wash these plates? How much do we need to contribute so we can buy brooms or mops that we need to mop the house, clean the ceilings, and the rest of them? But then this is how it happens. I'll give you a perfect example with my own story. While I was in NYC camp, something happened. So my first entrance to the camp, the first thing I always check out anywhere I enter, I want to check out, I don't even how the room is. Not how their food is. The first thing I want to check out is how is the restroom. For people who don't know what restroom is, the ladies and gents, restroom, I mean, how is their toilet? How is the bathroom? That's the first thing I check out. So I went to NYSC, and the first thing I checked out as usual was to see the nature of the toilets, how good the toilets. And it was assumed that was one of the best camps you can ever be to in NYC. That was Ogun State camp back in the days. I don't know about now. So when I went there, the toilets actually were new facilities, but it was messed up. So the first thing I did, immediately I saw the people that were supposed to stay with me in the same hostel, in the same room. I called everybody together. I said, brothers and sisters, we need to do something. We need to make sure our toilet is clean every now and then. We are adults, and looking around there are not so many bushes where you can do some short put. People who went to boarding school understand what I mean by short puts. So there are no such surroundings where you can do your short put. So what I called them together, I said, let's start this. Let's make this work. All right. So I told them every day I would go out. I'll find people that will watch this toilet. That's one. Secondly, we'll buy a key, and that key will have about a padlock that will have 4 keys. And the key, one of the keys will be kept at strategic position, and the 3 will be shared among the cliques. Whoever you appoint among your cliques, the person will have 1 key, someone you can always reach. And of course, I will hold one of the keys. And so when they agreed on these things, the next thing was, how much would this cost to pay the person that would wash the toilet, the person that would sweep the hostel, the person that would clean things up? And at the end of the day, we decided that every week we'll be contributing a certain amount of money. And the first week, I think that was around 4,000 naira. And that was how I became, they gave me a name, a very bad name, that was called Matthew, the tax collector. That was how I became the tax collector. So anytime I come in front of your bunk, you already know what to give me. You ball out your 300 naira or 200 naira, as the case may be. That was for the week. And because people so much hate tax masters, there are people that hated me because I always come and wake them up in the morning and say, bring your 200 naira. It's time to wash the toilets. And the funny thing is that I did that for the first day, second day, third day, fourth day. They started enjoying it because they started seeing the result of the taxation or the contribution they were paying. Why am I explaining the origin of tax? Tax happens in an informal setting. So that day they paid the money, the second day, third day. So before they know it, they trusted me with the whole of the money. Some people even paid for the whole 3 weeks we stay in camp. They say, we already trust you. Every time we go to the toilet is clean, the hostels are clean, and the people that are washing the toilet, they're always coming there even before we wake up. I don't know how they do. Remember in camp, we wake up around 4:35, and before we already are awake, they've washed the toilets. So I left one of the keys with them. And of course, what I did, for every kingpin, every leader, you must somehow, as soon as you're serving the people, I went to one of the toilets, I locked it up for myself, permanent, private. So the rest of the 13 restrooms available for the hostel, I made sure it was clean. But for you dare not go there because I wash them myself. Nobody should wash for me. So that is what taxation does. So the essence of all of these things, or the origin of tax, is to make sure things are going very well where it ought to go very well, of course. So, but then sometimes I saw a tweet on X where they said something like they borrowed money, they lavished it, they lavished the oil money, and now they want us to pay tax so that they can use our money, the tax earners' money or taxpayers' money, and service their loans and a couple of other things. And this is why people don't have trust in the taxation. And as well, I don't know if any government official is here in the live stream watching me, please. I also want to extend this. There ought to be a way to build trust so that people can happily pay this tax. And I love what the tax committee chairman actually did, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. And every time he has approached the media, he did that excellently well, flawless, calm, calculated, answering questions, very objective, and even accepting criticism so that they can go back and make amendments to the fiscal policy. All right, the fiscal reforms. And that is very awesome. That is what a leader should do. And I actually applaud him for that. It's very awesome and wonderful. All right, so Mr. Taiwo, anywhere you are, please take your flowers. But whatever we'll do here in this YouTube, in this channel, we'll do it very live, very raw. The loopholes, the benefits, people that will earn money, people this thing will back. There are people that will suffer in this tax, so I'm very certain. But this is why I'm here to expose all of those things. So I want to bring up this stuff so that we can look at this together. All right. So you can look at this. I've actually explained the origin of tax, how it happened, how it started. And there is one thing you need to know. There is also a purpose of tax. Why should people pay tax? Why? And I don't know, for some people here, I want to actually draw that fact from the scripture as much as possible. All right. So if you are here, probably whether you're a Christian or not, but I want to propose this as a holy book. Now, Romans 13:6-7 in Message translation is already on the screen, so you can also read that with me. So that is also why you pay taxes. So why is it? So that an orderly way of life can be maintained. Have you seen it? So that an orderly way of life can be maintained. So it says, fulfill your obligation as a citizen. Pay your taxes, pay your bills, and respect your leader. Some might be saying, am I here to support the taxation? Don't be too fast, because you need to comment before you give your buzzballs. So you don't have to start with the buzzballs. So wait for me. All right. So when some things like this happen, just like I explained about my NYC days, people happily paid for this because what was I trying to do? I was trying to maintain an orderly way of life. In fact, there was a time I even had to propose a fine that if you go to the toilet and leave it worse than you met it, you will pay twice the next morning for the cleaning. That twice does not mean that other people will not pay. But that twice, at the end of the day, probably during the fire night, we decided this is what we'll do with the fines we collected. Good and fine. because we are trying to maintain an orderly way of life. That is what every tax does. But then when these things are not done, because taxation happened today, it happened as far back as anything you can think of. So there was a time in the year 1215, as far back as we are in 2025, I'm referencing 1215, year 1215, and that happened in England. So King John's excessive taxes led to the Magna Carta, and that was the first major document to challenge unfair taxation and demand accountability, because it's always easy for the government to actually demand compliance, all right, from the individuals they are governing. I don't want to use the word ruling, they are governing. And how then would the individuals they are governing also keep them accountable to make sure that the tax we are paying, it's meant and is spent and used for what we are paying it for? So because these are places where people actually don't have trust in. But let's say now that this taxation started, and in no time, people are seeing dualization of roads, things are going on fine, electricity is 247, people would happily go back and bring out their savings and even sponsor the government. We love what you're doing. Let's do more of it. So there should be a way. Also, that's what I want to say about this tax reform. There should be a way or lay down plans or strategies that should be included in it. How the individuals can be, or how the individuals can enforce accountability on the government to make sure that the tax we are paying is used for what it is. So let's keep going. So now, there are these three tiers of tax we have to understand. I've actually dived into the teaching, so enough of the preambles. Now let's go straight into it, so that we can actually end at the time we said we will end. So looking at these three tiers of taxation, just 2 weeks ago, I experienced something in the office. I was not around, and I was away for some time, and I got a call that social body, in quotes, came to the office, and they say they are social body that's supposed to collect this levy or this taxation. I was like, what is it for? How have I not heard about this before? And they say they are from the local government or from the state government. I can't remember exactly. And then I heard about capitation levy. I heard about all these levies here and there. And just in 3 months or 4 months of operating that new location, the taxes have been paid. In fact, it came to a point, it even got worse now. EDC also came and said that this, that demanded for almost a certain amount of money, 191,000 for. So I can't remember what it is for, because we just came there newly. I don't know what. So taxations happened here and there. And now the good thing about this tax now is saying that both the one the local government is collecting, they say they're collecting tickets from barrow pushers, keke riders are collecting tickets, drivers are collecting tickets in the park, this and that. So park dues, a couple of other things. They are saying both the ones local government is collecting, both the ones state government is collecting, and the one federal government is collecting. We are harmonizing these three taxes together so that you don't go back paying the local government and you come back, you're paying the state government, you're paying this other levy and a couple of other ones. And then you also have to pay employee tax, a couple of other taxes. So they're saying, let us harmonize these things into one, so that when you pay for this, you've paid for all. And that is one good thing about this taxation. So it simply means that if this thing is put into effect, and they properly align with the local government, the state government, and the federal government, and they harmonize this, it simply means that one tax for all. All right? So you're paying your VAT, you're paying for this. Yes, those things are included, but then it will go to the federal, and then they will now know the sharing formula they will use to distribute that to the state and the local government. That is one good thing about this thing. So the harmonization of the tax is very important. So flow with me, let's keep going. So another thing we have to ask ourselves is this: what taxes are we to pay? Very important. So that you will not say you were not told. And now, whether you're working as an individual, you're working as a corporate body, one thing is important. You see that income tax, you will pay it. Read my lips very well, you will pay it. Before we start going to the incentives and how to leverage those incentives, I'm careful with what I use. Leverage those incentives, not avoiding tax. You're leveraging the incentives and the available mediums made available by these tax reforms. All right. So the income tax is this. As an individual, people might be asking, does it mean that every money that comes into my pockets, into my account, is an income? No. Every money that lands in your account is not an income. It's called revenue. All right. So as an individual, you're paid a salary. Even if your salary is 800,000, it doesn't mean that 800,000 will be surcharged, because they say the benchmark of this is 800,000. So once you earn 800,000, a certain percentage will be removed as tax. Now, it doesn't mean that 800,000 automatically suffice that you'll be charged on it. No. Now, the government also knows that you are on 800,000, and let's say now the 800,000 does not involve or does not include your housing allowance, your transportation allowance, your health insurance, and a couple of other things. They are saying that this health insurance will be minused. This whatever whatever transport allowance and a couple of these things that constitute expenses in this 800,000 will be minus. You see, at the end of the day, you might not even pay tax at all. So let's say your salary is 1.2 million naira every month, and your health insurance is about 120,000. A couple of other stuff to 20,000. Daily or probably transport allowance and transport expenses, this and that, according to how they calculated it. So your salary is 1.2 million. You might, after these expenses are subtracted, your go home might just be around 799,000, below the 800,000. Are you going to pay tax on that? No, you will not. So we are saying that if your income, not your revenue, not your payment, not your salary, the word there was income tax. All right. So if you're a business person and you hit a contract of 200 million naira, maybe as an engineer, your job is to actually mount maybe POP in people's houses, and someone paid you 200,000 to do that. Sorry, 200 million to do that. And already they say that if you're earning up to 150 million or 100 million, you start paying taxes on the surplus of it. But now what happens with this is that they know that you buy raw material. You'll buy POP sack, you'll buy POP cement, you will buy water, you would pay workers and a couple of other things. All these things will be minus as a corporate person, provided your business is registered as a limited liability company. Now, the difference between this is that for limited liability company, it means that you are separate from your business. Your business is not you. Let me get this right. You're separate from your business is not you. So that is what limited liability means. So it's properly registered, documented. So it simply means that Mr. Okeke Osman Ibrahim Ayodele is different from POP Cement Enterprise. So whatever that happens to you is different. So whatever that happens to the POP Cement business is different. So the taxation is on the POP Cement, not on Osman Okoye Ayodele. No. All right. So it simply means that this income, the expenses were minus and a couple of other things. So the next thing you would also pay for, you see, interest and increase in sales of properties. Now, the capital gain tax is another thing altogether. But then let me break this up, or let me break this down for us. When they say interest, it's very dicey. Let me explain that how it pertains to an individual. Mr. A comes to Mr. B and say, can you lend me money? I will pay you 20% of the money. Okay? And let's say that money is 1 million naira or 20 million naira, as the case may be. I don't know, but any amount of money. And then the government is saying that when you get back that money without interest, if that interest reaches the taxing benchmark, that interest will be charged. Sorry, there will be tax on that interest as an individual. So you're lending people money with interest. So this applies to also some financial, some loan apps and a couple of other ones, and as the case may be. So increase in sales of properties means that provided it's not your residential property, because the government, another good thing about it is that if the house you're living in and you sell it, even if you sell it times 10 of what you bought it, provided you're living in it, is not regarded as a capital gain tax. It's not regarded as an increase in sales of property because it's your personal house. But let's say you're into real estate business now and you bought a house for 20,000 and you sold at 40,000. That 20,000 will be taxed. So that increase in sales tax is called a capital gain. So the same thing with dividends. When you get your dividends, though there are proportions of dividends that might not be taxed on the rest of that, but they're saying that when you get your dividends and it reaches the taxing benchmark, it will be taxed. There's also the withholding tax, the premium tax, and the value-added tax. So I want to say something very important with this value-added tax. One thing with value-added tax is this. When I'm a producer. Let's say I'm producing bread, for example. And because the government have said I will pay VAT on every item of bread I will sell, what I will do with this VAT is that when I'm done producing my bread, if my bread is 100 naira, for example, because the VAT is 7.5, I would sell my bread for 107,005 naira. Okay, 107 naira, 107.5 kobo, sorry, 107 naira 5 kobo. Because I want to add that tax to the sales price so that the burden of the tax will not be on my business. So at the end of the day, the burden of the tax will now be on the final consumers. And the government looked at this thing and said, no, they don't want it. So they came together and said, for everybody who is actually in the business of COGS, essential goods and commodities, all right, daily consumables like bread, and they want to make things easy for the masses, they said, for every time, I'm telling you now how you can ask for a refund in certain taxes, the training have started. So, and they are saying that for every single time that you spend money on VAT, because you're buying raw materials you will use to produce these essential goods and services, when you are done, document it, file it, and send it to the government. The government will pay you back to the last dime of that amount of money. So if you accumulated a VAT of 10,000 naira in producing a bread of 200,000, provided you can file it with your receipt and a couple of other things, government is saying, because we don't want you to pass that VAT on the final consumers, thereby making bread to be very expensive or making these essential goods to be very expensive, what we want to do is that we want to pay you back that VAT. So in essence, we are removing the VAT for you, provided you are into essential goods. All right? So it's very important that we understand this. So the next thing we have to understand is, sorry, I've gone past this stage. So the next thing we have to understand is who will not pay this tax. So you will not pay this tax if you do this. If you're able to do this very well, listen to me, you will not pay tax. Now, let me tell you something. Loan is a very good instrument because the government is saying that you only get to pay tax when you make profit. So if I'm using a loan to run my business, where I want to make profit from, I have to service the loan first before you start talking about profits. All right? So it simply means that I might not pay this tax if that's the case. All right? So that is how it works. So let's move into this. Let's move into this. Now, an announcement was made by Dangote Refinery. They said they took a loan of about 20 billion USD to build that refinery. You know how long it will take to repay that loan before you start talking about taxing them? So, in as well as, yes, one thing about this tax, this is a progressive tax. Progressive tax means the higher you go on the echelon of earnings, the higher tax you pay. So the people who earn less might not even pay at all. And the lesser you earn, the less tax you pay. And the more you earn, the more you pay. That's progressive tax. So they're not using proportional tax where you say that everybody pays 5% of tax. No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that we want the poor to breathe. All right? That was the promise. Let the poor breathe. So that when they want the poor to breathe, and they're saying the poor should not pay tax. If you are within the range of the jurisdiction of the people we call poor, we want you to breathe. All right? So if you're a small company too, we also want you to breathe. All right? So it's actually a good way of breathing. It's actually a good way of breathing, but let's get it right with this. All right? So if you don't want to pay this tax, whether you're paying tax or not, the same amount of money you would have paid as tax will go as servicing loans to the banks. It simply means that whoever that owns a bank, that is running a bank financial sector, they will make so much money. The loan apps, they will make mega money because people will go around borrowing money from them simply because they want to evade tax. So if I'm you now, I can even start a business on one loan app like that, go to SEC, register it, get a license with CBN, and scale it. But then you also wait for your tax where you make the profit of that loan. But that, let's not go there. So there are also other areas of interest the government wants to encourage people to go into. So, because one thing with tax is this. Tax is a tool, is a financial tool that the government uses to navigate people to a direction they want them to go. For example, if what we want to achieve is to make sure the house is always clean. You remember we are family. Remember the story I told you about the family, where it's also person's job to wash the plates. And then we decided that we always want the plates to be very neat. So we can give an incentive that for every time you wash the plates, you will not contribute money in the buying of the detergents that is used in washing that plate. So it's an incentive. So it simply will make everybody want to choose the role of washing the plates. So by so doing, that tax relief or tax break has become a tool to encourage people, all right, to go into washing plates. So the same thing the government is doing here now, because the people have been crying that we are hungry, we need food in this nation, and government is saying, no problem, we've heard your cry. If you can go into agriculture, we promise you're not paying tax, at least for 6 years. If you're making profits, it's 100% of the profits, no problem. Nobody is putting eyes for you. Nobody is doing anything for you. So one of the good things you can do now is to go and start farming. Start that poultry business you've been postponing that you don't want to start. That fishery business you have been saying, I don't know how to go and start it now, because once you register it as a limited liability company, bye-bye to tax for 6 months. That government is very proud to do that, because they want everybody to make money, because it's one of the propaganda that farmers will make more money. So if you can go into farming, into agriculture, providing food for almost everybody, every nook and cranny, let there be surplus of food, government is saying no tax for you for 6 months. So if you don't want to pay tax, go into farming. So another thing you have to do is this. There is also some areas of interest, like I said, that the government, let's say everybody finished paying this tax now, and the government is saying, we want to use that tax to go and develop Iduroko Road in Ogun State. I don't know why I'm using Ogun State. Or probably they're saying they want to go to Gariki to reform the roads there and make it brand new. They're saying they want to go to your village in Isiopo, or they want to go to Zamfara to repair the roads there, or put pipe-borne water there. And now, in your own business, you decide that your CSR, so people who are also in the CSR business would make a lot of money. I don't know why I'm saying this, but someone needs to hear this prophecy. Go into CSR business. So people who are into CSR business will make a lot of money, because how this happens is that when the government is saying, this is our project, this is what we want to do with this tax, and you're saying our CSR is also in line with this, can we take up that project? So what the government can do is that they can evaluate it, look at the size of your company and say, okay, because you're taking this project up, let's give you a tax break, or let's reduce your tax from this percentage to this percentage. It has been done before in the past reforms, all right? People like some companies, like Dangote companies, somehow in the Papa construction, these guys, they came together, they did those roads, they did a couple of other things, and they enjoyed some level of tax break for some time. All right. So this is part of the things you can also do if you don't want to pay tax. So ask yourself, where is the interest of the government in this? If the interest aligns with your CSR, you can write to the government and say, this is what I feel I want to do. This is what I think I should do. This is that. Can we negotiate on my tax and the rest of that? So if they look at it and it's very okay, they can say, no problem. Let's make it work out. All right. And the government is also saying this because they need foreign inflow to the business, to the nation. They are saying, okay. So they're saying, okay, that part of the things they want you to do is that go into export. We want to export things so that we'll export things and dollar will come in. And they are saying, no problem. If you're going into exportation, come and tell us. We'll find a way and we'll give you a tax break. Not evade, we'll give you a tax break. Please get my words very clear. And also, you don't want to pay tax. What should you do? Another thing I'll tell you is that go and join the military, go and join the police force. Those guys, their salary has not, nobody can touch their salary. They say their salary will not be taxed. Their gratuity will not be taxed. Whatever it is will not be taxed because already they're sacrificing their lives for the nation. So they cannot give their life to the nation and also give their money. So they expect you, who is not giving your life, to give your money. So if you don't want to give your money too, go and give your life and go into military or police force as the case may be. All right? So that is it. So there are other things we have to look into. Who can ask the government for tax refund? Let's say you paid a tax and to an extent something happened and you want to ask for a tax refund, because there are certain people, yes, that would definitely ask the government for tax reform. So under what conditions would you ask the government for this tax refund? You pay tax sometimes, somehow, and you want a refund. The first people I made mention of, the people that do essential goods for the VAT. I made mention of that, and it's very clear. Government is saying that we want the poor to breathe. We don't want the poor to suffer. We want the prices of goods and commodities to still be very, very okay. And we want things to go on very, very fine. And they want things to go perfectly fine and okay. So because of that, we are removing VAT on the COGS, the essential goods and commodities. So what does this mean? It means that when you are into the production of such, all right, and somehow you look at your accounting books and discover that one of the items you bought, they calculated VAT in it, in the raw materials you were using to produce those COGS, essential goods and commodities, all right? Let's say bread, cake, and a couple of other things. And you discover that in that receipt, you saw VAT in it. The government is saying you can file all those VAT and come and demand for your refund. You're not supposed to pay it. So why would somebody charge you that tax? Because, of course, they will charge you. Let's say I'm selling flour, and I don't know you're producing bread. How will I know? And not add VAT for you. I'll add VAT for you, of course. Compared to the person who is making, let's say, maybe spaghetti or so, who is also using the same flour. How will I know? So the government is saying this. If you look at those receipts and you saw that VAT was added, please document it and demand for your refund, not from the people where you bought the goods, but from us, the government, and we'll pay you back. So under that condition, the government can refund your tax if this has happened. When you look at your document and you discover you've paid for VAT, or you paid for a tax twice, probably it was debited from your account, or your tax accountant made a mistake and it was recorded twice, you would have to come for a refund. All right? So that is part of it. So also, there's something called the wrong application of tax. It simply means that, because it's very possible, because some people will start coming next year, some people will start using software to calculate their tax. You will see a lot of software. Another business idea I will tell you is this. Someone is saying if it's okay to request for the slide. Okay. We'll look into that and see. Okay, so, and because some people will be going into the software now, producing payroll software that will start calculating this employee tax, this and that for people. It's a business idea. So if you're into the tech industry, start producing HRO software now, because by next year, people will demand for this. I'm giving you business ideas now, people that will make money in these tax reforms. All right. So because of such mistakes that comes with the software calculations, and you discovered that instead of paying 20% of the tax you're supposed to pay, the software actually, due to some mistakes, you pay 30%. They are saying that you can come back and ask for a refund. If the refund is not possible, what they will do is that they will add that 10% margin to the next tax you will pay and deduct it from there. So you can always ask for a refund if the following things happen. So if there is an error in your pay, remittance or self-assessment, of course, ask for your refund. And say, then you can apply for a refund or carry the excess or credit towards future liabilities, as the case may be. I'm actually showing you another slide while I'm talking about something else. Okay, so this is it. So let's move into the next thing. There are truth and lies about tax. Who wants to hear the truth and lies? Very important. The truth and lies about this tax. The truth and lies about this tax. You know, sometime 3 weeks ago, people said, would all those shows be paying tax? And that was a very big hit on the internet. I don't know why it was a very big, I don't know if many people are into that business, but anyway, let's not go there. But let me tell you, there is no particular tax, there is no particular section of that tax book that says if you are into Olosho business, you will pay tax. There is no such, at least for the one I read. I didn't see anything like that. All right? I didn't see anything like that for the one I read. So, but I believe that if an Olosho calls that a business and earns a personal income, a personal money from it, and the bank checks every month. In fact, every night, they're seeing an alert of 100,000, 50,000 every night. And in a month, that should be around 300,000 if you're earning 100,000. And in a year, that should be around 3 point something million or around 3.6 million or so. They are simply saying that you would also be taxed like every other normal person. So whoever that called it, that social people will be paying tax. I don't know why the person did that, but they are no different from any other person. So it simply means that even you, if you are a pastor, I don't mean your church might be registered as an NGO or as an ORG, as the case may be, as an NGO, non-governmental or non-profit. But then if you as a person, all right, you have a side business and you're earning money that is called your personal income, or you're being paid a salary as a pastor and it meets that benchmark of taxation, you would also pay tax. Just the same way the Olosho is paying tax. So there is no black belt that says Oloshos will pay tax or not. So for people like that listening to me, let not your heart be troubled. All right? So another thing we have to look at is this. Will everyone pay tax? That's a very dicey one. But the truth is that not everybody will pay tax. It's not possible. Because when you say everyone, there are people who are not in that tax bracket. Your grandmother in the village who is not earning anything, how is he supposed to pay tax? So tax is only people who earn a taxable income that will pay tax. Now, you're sending your grandmother 100,000 every month. It's not called earnings. Even if you're sending your grandmother 100 million every month as a gift, but that has to be probed anyway, because I don't know what your grandmother will be doing with 100 million every month. But I'm giving an example. So provided it's seen as a gift, as an allowance you're giving to that old woman, is not taxable. So she will not be taxed. So not everybody will be taxed, as the case may be. So if you're not earning up to the threshold of the taxable income, you will not be taxed. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Another question is this: who will pay the most tax? I need to say something about this. There are people that this burden of tax will lie heavily on their shoulders. They cannot escape it. Never. Like never. In fact, it will even be so bad that before the money lands in their account, the tax is removed for this set of people. And it's not so awesome. But let me tell you something. These guys, already, the tax is designed to be a progressive tax. It simply means that if you're earning 800,000, you pay a certain percentage. If it passes 800,000 in the marginal income, let me use that word, marginal income, marginal profit, you pay tax on. So the higher you go, the bigger tax you pay. All right. So it's a progressive tax. But then there are people that it would pain so much when they're paying this. You see, civil servants. You're working in a very structured corporate organization. You're working in a bank, insurance companies, a couple of other companies. They are well structured already, because even from now, if you're looking at your pay slip before now, you notice that a particular amount of money has even been removed as tax. All right, but you might not notice it because it might look so small and the rest of that. But there's a way to be calculated according to the government. So these people is unavoidable. And why I say they will suffer most with this tax is this. Let's say my business now, I pay so much tax in my business, and what I produce is probably iPhone, or I import an earpiece, and I import one, and I pay import duty, and I pay some levies, I pay my my corporate income tax. I have to recover all this tax I'm paying, of course. And who would I burden the tax of this? The final consumer. Because if I paid 100 naira in tax to sell one headset, I'll add 100 naira back to my tax. So every other person that does business, the same thing applies to them. And now you, as an employee, you're not running any business, you're not doing any business, you keep inheriting some indirect taxes without knowing that you're inheriting them. So what happens is that some items or some products in the market will go high because they're paying higher tax and they want to recover this tax. Though the government assumes that you don't need some luxury, all right? So they do not subsidize those luxuries. So they only subsidize the essential goods. The items that come under these essential goods are probably the foods you will eat as breakfast, like your bread and a couple of beverages and a couple of other things, all right? So if your beverage also falls under the sugar beverage, there is something called an SBA tax. Okay, sweetened beverages. There's this tax they pay because they want to discourage you from taking sweetened beverages, but that was in the old tax law. So I don't know the position of that in the new tax law. We'll find out later. All right. So these are part of the things you have to do. So the civil servants be ready to shoulder this tax. So it's also a call for you to extend into other things that can actually give you money. Register a business, do one or two things. Probably on your side part, you can do farming, you can do even do snail farming. Okay, if poultry is too bad, you can do snail farming. You can do any other farming. You bring goats and keep in your compound and rear goats. Give them your leftover foods, they will eat. All right, so as much as possible, you can even rear dogs. Dogs are easier, they don't die easily. They give birth and you can easily sell them. All right, so those are part of the things you have to look at. So another thing we'll be rumoring about is that they say this tax will start January 1. Is it true or is it a lie? The thing there is that I was listening to Mr. Taiwo Yedele when he was giving the speech in China, and he said something in particular about this. He said, I might not quote him exactly, he said that the implementation of this tax law is dependent on the finance minister, not on him. And there is nowhere it was stated that this tax will start 1st of January or 2nd of January or 1st of February or 3rd of February. All right. So any day the finance minister wakes up and says, let's start, we'll start. But there is a clause that says that it must be published on National Gazette. All right. So that people would know that it has been officially published that this tax have started. And that will be it. So there is nothing that says that it must start on the 1st of January or on the 2nd of January. All right. And then another thing is that your content creators be taxed, because now every Nigerian now and then is they'll keep their phone, they're dancing, they're making comedy, they're joking, they're doing a couple of other things. Everybody wants to go into content. Let's shoot content. Let's do this. Give me 1 million followers, 30 million followers. The government is also waiting for you with your 10 million followers and your 10 million naira tax, as the case may be. I'm not saying it's 10 million naira, but this is how that tax will be collected. Because according to, I will keep quoting him, Mr. Taiwo Yadele, and he said something. If they were able to reach out, they said the companies that pay online earners are not too much. And that is right. They are not too much. If you're streaming, Spotify might pay you, Google might pay you, a couple of other companies might pay you, freelancing, Fiverr, Upwork, and a couple of other freelancing platforms, they might pay you. There are not so many. And they know the streams where you collect this money from. They know it's from Google AdSense. They know it's from probably Payoneer. They know, I'm not supposed to mention the names of these people. They didn't pay me. But let's leave them aside. So they know the streams from which you collect this money. Even if you say it's cryptocurrency, they know. So they say that what they would do is that since they were able to convince these same people to collect VAT from you when they're paying you, they can also convince them to collect that your tax and payment upfront before the money lands into your account. They did it with Facebook. If you're running Facebook ads, your VAT is surcharged without you even knowing that your VAT has been surcharged. All right. So as an individual, you're earning with AdSense as a blogger, you're earning with AdSense as a YouTuber, you're earning with AdSense as a content creator, as the case may be. And one thing with AdSense is that you don't see a lot of people registering with AdSense account as a company. Everybody registers as an individual. So how would you escape that tax? So if they slash down your tax, PM, you now start wondering, I'm seeing $200,000 on my dashboard. How come it's only just $150,000 that came to my account? And your chat Google will now reply you and say, your nation said that this tax will be implemented, and it has been implemented. So you cannot escape it as a content creator. So one way you can actually adjust that to minimize the tax you're paying is actually you can go back to those collection means, either on your AdSense, on your Spotify accounts, every other streaming platform you're using to earn money. What you can do is that, am I supposed to be saying this? Am I supposed to be saying this? But anyway, that's why it's a class. That's why it's a class. So you can also register a company, a corporate account. There are ways you can also register your business in company house. All right. Let the business be domiciled in Nigeria, but US domicile account as a corporate account that is in US. Sorry, that is dollar domicile. Corporate account, so that you can at least extend the margin at which you will pay this tax when the time comes. Okay. Some people might say that they will have to probably open a corporate account that is domiciled in another country that will enable them have a bank account in that other country and receive the money from that account. No problem, provided the money will still come back and be spent in Nigeria. When it comes back, you must still pay this tax. Because there is this clause they added for businesses. They say that the profit of a business must be taxed, whether that profit was earned in your domiciled country or the profit was earned in the foreign country, provided the profit was earned from the business registered in Nigeria. Irrespective of the country where the profit was earned, it will be taxed. All right? So you have to be well educated about this so that you don't fall victim of any of such. All right, so another thing we have to talk about is this. I say, with the tax, okay, will the government deduct the tax from my account? Because I've heard people say this. I was discussing it with some person saying, will the government come and chuck their hand in my account and collect the money? How would they know that social transfer I made was a gift? That social money that came into my account was wedding contribution, that they used my account to collect wedding contribution? How would they know? How would they know that this and that? And they always know. They say they have set up a systematic way to detect these things. Secret intelligence, systemic intelligence, financial intelligence to detect all of these things. So, but then they are not saying they will put their hands and debit you. What they are saying is this, that you should come and file your tax. Come and tell us what this tax is. All right, bring your accounting records, do this, and tell us that this is what you are earning, and this is the expenses you've done, and this is how it has been subtracted, and this is what is left, and that is why you cannot pay tax, because your profit did not reach a taxable threshold. They're asking you to come by yourself, because let's say this is implemented in a year, and the calendar year passes, and you have about 90 days. That is, if this is eventually implemented in first, and at the end of 31st of December, you've not declared your tax, they expect you that between the next cycle year of 1st January to 31st of March, you must have come willingly by yourself to file your tax. So which platform have made available for this? So they went ahead and did this Tax Pro Max. Before you open an account, and people who have been opening accounts of recent, and it's a corporate account, you would have something that asks you to, have you done your tax validation, your TIN validation, your Tax Pro Max? But the problem is that some of us will pay people to do this Tax Pro Max for us, so we don't even have the login details to our own Tax Pro Max accounts. Sorry, excuse me. So you don't even have login details to your own Tax Pro Max account. So you don't even know how you file this account. So that is why you see tax consultants this period, they will make money shady, like the kind of money they will make. So you that have forgotten your login details to your Tax Pro Max account, you don't know how to file your tax, you have to pay them to do that for you. All right. And there is also a set of people, but then when we get to that, we'll also discuss that in full. So, and another thing we have to talk about in this, for the next slide, who are those that will earn money this tax period? Because some people must surely earn money, whether you like it or not. They will earn money. They will earn money. Nothing like, there is no way to do it. And these are kind of people that will earn money. I will explain. So people that will earn money, you see tax accountants and consultants, they will earn a lot of money. Take it from me. So if you are into taxation, I will advise you now, start digging deep into tax. You see tax lawyers, a lot of cases will spring up. Tax lawyers, if you are into law and you're a lawyer, read all the common laws you can read. The common laws, I don't have to tell you what common law is as a lawyer. You can study the common laws. You can study the 2025 Tax Act, the Tax Act of 2025. All right, fiscalreform.ng. You go there, download all the materials you have to download. Read them, know what is obtainable. Prepare yourself. Also involving the common laws that have been there before now, the common acts, and see what you can educate yourself with, because as a tax lawyer, you will make a lot of money, because people would want to sue the government to court. Government want to sue some people to court. All this is in a tax lawyer go that court and the money. As that court is going there, people called forensic accountants. Forensic accountants, they want to check your account balance, check a couple of other things. Either the government employs them to come and probe you as a big company to see loopholes. And if government pays someone to come and probe you, believe me, they will do everything within their reasonable power to make sure that they deliver to the person that paid them. So they will make a lot of money. And because you also don't want to fall victim to the forensic accountants. You would also hire your own forensic accountant to come and check your record, your books, and tell you this is how you have to do this, part this one, bring this invoice so that you can substitute this. They will make money. So if you're an accountant, start getting towards that aspect. All right. So tech founders, the kind of money will go make this period go plenty. Ordinary tax calculator, people need to know. A simple tax calculator where you can hold your phone like this and you're pressing it, this, personal income of this, and equal to, it tells you your tax. Something as simple as that tax calculator on Play Store with art is free for everybody. Just put a small banner there where art will be showing. So much money is coming in. So people would make money from this. I'm telling you how you can make money from these tax laws, because there's something they say that when the land is not good, the kings will make more money. So, and the next people that will make money in this are farmers. Farmers will make more money because they're not paying tax, they're not paying VAT. A couple of things are not being levied to them, and yet they are taking their profit wholeheartedly, fully. I know some people now, what will be going on in your head now is that you go and register some agro companies and use that to siphon money and the rest of that. And instead of you that is selling speakers on the main market, electronics, Alaba, will now go and register an agro business and say you're doing poultry. And in a year, you've not raised up to 1,000 bets, but then more than 300 million have passed through that poultry account. It's not justifiable. They will catch you. So if these things are done, make sure you really own a poultry farm. Grow it for the purpose of that tax break, so that at least the money you're making there can actually lower your BP and your temperature against the tax you're paying in your Alaba market for the speakers you're selling, as the case may be. So I'm breaking this down to the commonest way a trader can understand it. All right. So there are other people too that will make a lot of money. You see, export trade facilitators, people who are helping you make your export trade, people who are into export trading, they will make a lot of money because the government is saying we are not also taxing you. Because we want you to do this thing and also bring in foreign reserve for us. We are happy that you're doing it. So they're saying no tax for you. So if you don't want to pay tax, go and start doing exports. But then I want to tell you there are also some licenses you will need to have to be able to do exports. So study the business very well and go into it loud and clear. So also data analysts, they'll make a lot of money because people would want to analyze data. People want to also analyze their financial sheets. People also want to analyze a couple of things they've done. You have to be very, very studious and competent in these aspects I'm mentioning now. You see, HRO managers, is your turn to shine. HRO managers, especially if you understand the technicality of calculating salaries, technicalities of determining take-homes, technicalities of determining health insurance package, this that constitutes the whole salary package. Not just people that are also, not just the HR that are monitoring latecomers in the office. That's not the kind of people I'm talking about. You don't go see cheating. But if you're advanced in your HR management, that you understand the technicalities of payments, the breakdown of laws, you become hotcake because a lot of companies will be looking for people like this. If you're now upgrade it a little bit and have a HRO software that is also making plans now to incorporate all these tax laws, tax percentage, and a couple of other things for the workers, the kind of money where you go make next year when they implement this, you will now understand why they say money in water, because you'll be on hot demand. HR managers, can I see you in the comment section? Except you want to go into that. All right. People who have CFA certification, that certificate is a luxurious one. In fact, almost this year I've pursued or I've dedicated my pursuit in the learning of this CFA, at least for the level 1, we will start somewhere. All right. After that, we'll do level 2, level 3, and then they get the certification. The people who have already been certified as CFAs, Chartered Financial Analysts, the kind of money where they will make, will they too much? Because whatever thing that handles, that has to go on finance comes down, the economic situation of things, the investment part of it, alternative to investments, a couple of other things, they will make a lot of money because this is about money. People want to consult them. Where should I put my money that the government will not tax? So imagine that you bought shares and you're saying that you've earned a lot of money, and then probably the shares have done 200%, for example, and you've earned money, and the government taxes you. As the money lands into your account, you're being taxed. But the government is also saying something in that aspect. Provided you don't sell them, or provided you sold them and use the money to buy shares immediately in another company, you're not paying tax, because they want the money to keep circulating among companies. They don't want you to bring it out. And the good thing people can do now is this. Let me give you this wisdom. For people who trade tax, for people who trade shares, if you want to sell your shares, and the purpose why you want to sell that shares is because you want to do it and build a house. Let me give you wisdom. There are some banks, I don't know for some banks, so some banks have stopped after the crash of I think after the crash of 2018 or 2017. I can't remember exactly. Some banks said, if you're bringing the collateral to us and the collateral is your shares, we are not taking it anymore. Some banks, I don't want to mention names. Some other banks are saying, no problem, we still collect. All right. So part of the things you can do, look for banks that you can put your shares as a collateral and take a loan against your shares, and use the dividends that comes from that share to service the loan, and use that loan to go and build your house. By so doing, transactions have gone and you're living on loan and nobody's collecting tax from you, because if it's checked, now loan why I use to build this house, and I'm paying back that loan from the dividends of my shares. So either way is a win-win. So one thing you have to understand very well, if you want to be legally in the position where you don't pay tax, you have to study. You see debt instruments, loans, private debentures, the whole stuff about call option, put options, and the rest of that. That call and put option might not be so much applicable in Nigeria, but then if you can understand debt instruments, how to raise money, equity financing is not debt, but you talk about debt financing. It's pronounced debt financing. If you understand this, you can see that you can even run your company for years and you've not paid tax. You are just there, just servicing the loans. Provided you have a means to service those loans, you probably not even pay tax at all, as the case may be. So another thing we have to look at is this. There are people that, or categories of people that, or categories of instruments that doesn't have to pay this tax, and that will be where we'll call it for a day, where we'll call it a day, so that you can go and digest it, because we'll have next week. And next week, I'm telling you something, there is a sales guru. In fact, I call him the sales guru. He's coming to teach you how to make sales and how other people pay for the tax of the sales you made. I don't want to go there, but it's very technical. So I want to be on this live stream again by this time on Wednesday. So on a personal income level, there are individuals that wouldn't earn up to the minimum wage, so no need of them paying tax. The government is saying your gift will not be taxed. Your pension funds, you've worked all your years, your pension funds and assets under the Pension Reform Act, PRA, is exempted from income tax. No income tax on that in that part. All right. Your individual earnings below the national minimum wage is exempted from personal income tax. Your annual gross income of up to 1.2 million, taxable income is just 800,000, full exemption from tax. All right. So your pension, your gratuity, your retirement benefits under the PRA, tax-free. So when it comes to the capital gain tax, I've said that before, when you sell your own house, you're not paying tax on it. All right. So personal effect of charters of up to 5 million naira is exempted from the capital gain tax. So sale of up to 2 private vehicles, you have your own vehicle, and you sell up to 2 in a year, you're not paying tax. If you pay the third one, you can start paying. If you sell the third one, you can start paying tax. All right. So gains on shares, if you bought shares and probably your shares made a gain of about 150 million in proceeds. All right. And the gain in that share is up to 10 million naira in 12 months period. You are exempted from this capital gain tax. So there's also a pension fund, charity, religious institutions are exempted from CGT. So if you don't know what to do, you can also go and answer that call God has been calling you, either to be as a pastor, as an imam, so that you'll be also hide under this pension fund, charities and religious institutions, and not pay tax, provided it is registered as an NGO and is recognized. So for companies and business entities, they are saying small companies. What defines small companies? You must be registered, and again, your annual turnover must be equal to or less than 100 million, and your total assets must be less than 250 million naira. In that regard, you're not paying tax. That is annually, not monthly. All right. So the same happens for small companies who does turnover of less than 100 million and fixed asset of 200 million. You're exempted from tax. And then there is also this 4% development levy They are saying you're also exempted from that 4% development levy. No, nothing. You're not paying that. So agricultural businesses, you can enjoy tax holiday for as much as 5 good years of operations, no tax. All right. So when it comes to VAT, basic food item, like I said before, like bread. I have a friend that so much loves bread, no matter what. So he's praying. His prayer is that this bread must not add money. God have answered his prayer. He's saying that no tax for you if you're on bread. So value-added tax like rent, there is no way any landlord should be calculating your rent and put VAT on it. The government is saying that you're not paying VAT on rent, no matter what. May not let any landlord deceive you. There is no VAT on rent. But I know them. What they might do now, by next year, they will increase their house rent. And they will not call it VAT. They will tell you that the country is hard. So if you can question them and tell them to give you a breakdown of that rent, and you see VAT on it, take them to court. All right? So educational services and materials, zero VAT. They are saying school fees, no VAT should be seen in school fees. All right? Educational materials like textbooks, handouts, this and that, no VAT should be seen in it. All right. So health and medical care services, pharmaceutical products, they are saying no VAT on those ones. So that the cost of medication will still be affordable for the poor and for everyone. All right. So that is how it works. So there's something called disability aids, agricultural input like fertilizer, seeds, seedlings, feeds, live animals, and the rest of that are saying no tax on it. All right. So some other things like stamp duties, electronic money transfer below 10,000. Salary payments, depending on what it is, intrabank transfers, and the rest of that. So they are saying that we are trying to do this in a way that it will favor almost everyone. So someone said, I would like to know how this tax law affects service business, example, consulting and training. All right. So for consulting, because one thing with consulting is that there is no way. In fact, consulting became so dicey that they were required by EFCC to have a SCUME certification, because there is no way to price your consulting. For me, I'm also somehow into consulting. You can meet me now that you want to consult, that I want me to consult for you so that I can organize your company organogram for you, set up your financial benchmarks and your financial company policies, how it should be. I can charge you 100 million naira for that. Why someone else on the street can charge you 2 million naira for it? The same service, probably the same results, and with little value differentiation, different pricing. But now you that charge 2 million naira, probably you're one man person who works in that business. And for me, I might have 100 staff in my office. So it's not for me to also state these things clearly. These are the things I use. These are my operational expenses. These are my this and that. And how do I work? So by the time I've finally subtracted all of these things, and there is no need for tax, of course, I'll go. While you, with your 2 million naira, every 2 weeks, because you're getting clients frequently, but you don't have this so much manpower, you don't bring in so much resources into doing these things. Probably for me, probably before I do your work, I might probably get a software that I must have subscribed for about $300 every month. Probably some software where I subscribe for $199 every month to do some keyword research to position you to your industry. After all of these things, I'm after the 200 million, I might even be left with less than 5 million based on how I state my expenses, and I tabulate it before FIRS, and they approve it and say, yes, there is an invoice for this, there is a receipt for this, and it's there in the accounting software, in the accounting system, and my accounting records are clear. I move on. All right. So in that regard, you might still not pay that, depending on. So it all depends on how you make these things work. Okay, and a couple of other things. It reached to ask, Precious Chineberry is asking, will politicians pay tax? Okay. The thing about politics, the same way the Oloshu is subjected to pay tax because he's a normal individual, politicians too would also have to declare every income that comes in, taxable incomes. If 300 million pass through your account in 3 days as a politician or 1 month, and it is not in the state budget, it's not in your office jurisdiction or office allowance and the rest of that, you have to come in and say, how did this money come in? If you're saying that somebody gave you a gift of 300 million, it's left for you and FIRS to do that calculation. But then they're saying every year, come on board and tell us what your tax is so that we can do that effectively. Okay, so are there more questions? Someone said the HR managers are sleeping. They should stop sleeping though, because there's a lot of money here. I would like to know how tax affects services, business, and consulting. Okay. So someone said, I have a registered business. I have a registered business name with CAC. Am I exempted from personal income tax and company tax? Now, personal business is different. So those things you did as a business name, you will pay personal income tax because it's not classified as business. They are saying that the only thing would recognize as a business are people who are under limited liability company, because what is personal business? The business name you do simply says you are the sole proprietor of that business. You are the business. If we look for you tomorrow, the business is gone. And if someone sues your business, they've sued you to court. You have to appear in court. But if you're operating the limited liability company, it simply means that you are different from your business. So your company will be taxed as your company, and you, whatever money that comes into your hand is a person. So what most business people might have to start doing now is this: officially place yourself on salary in your own business, and stop using your personal salary, stop using your personal income, your personal account to receive business money. But if you keep doing that, you will pay tax out of that money if you don't know. So register and put yourself as an employee in your business. As you're paying your manager 300,000, pay yourself maybe 250, 500, 1 million. So if you're running your expenses, those expenses you'll be running for your business that you think is your personal expenses. No, now you have to be very, very articulate. When you're running an errand for your business, tabulate it as a business expenses. When you're running an errand for yourself, you're going to see your grandmother in the village, it's your personal expenses. That transportation fare is your personal money. Pay it. But if you're going to source for fuel for your business and you're running around to see where you can buy truck of fuel, is business expenses. So learn to separate yourself completely from your business. It will earn you a lot of things. And at the end of the day, pay yourself salary, so that at the end of the day, you're only paying for that 350,000 that came into your account as your salary. You're only paying tax of it probably at the end of the year. I don't know if I answered the question in that regards. So someone said something: I'm an employer of labor and salary is paid to me to pay the staff. How do I pay tax? Employer of labor and salary is paid to me to pay the staff. It works very well. Like all these security agencies and contract staff, the companies don't pay them directly. The companies pay the company that houses that contract staff, pay the company that brought them, and the company that brought them pays the staff of those contract staff. So what you have to do is that as the money is paid to you, document it. That's also, you also pay salary to social person, salary to social person. At the end of the day, this is what you are left with. Tabulate it like that. Have your accountant. Even if you don't have an accountant, a simple Excel sheet of income and outflow. At the end of the day, you do your income statement. Is enough. You take it to the FIRS and look at it. They will cross-check it and match it to what came into your account and how it works. And it will be there. And that will be all for it. So you are employer of labor and salary is paid to you to pay the staff. Also tabulate it like that and make sure you now officially register that business as a limited liability company, that you are an HRO firm that outsource workers to another company. All right. So that is how it is. So someone is asking, how do I file for my task? Will it be done online or at FIRS? It all depends. If you have your Tax Pro Max, you can go to your Tax Pro Max dashboard, check out those things and upload it. And probably you will get a feedback. If not, you can go to a physical location of an FIRS. You can use a tax consultant to do that for you. There are different tax companies. I don't want to mention any of them. They didn't pay me for it. Right? So, but there are big ones that even some grant companies uses. I don't know, but I don't have to give them that shout out. Accenture, the KPMG, those are too big for some companies. There are also small ones. All right. You can also meet them, tell them, see, arrange this thing for me, arrange this for me. How does it work? They bring your invoices and match it for you. And then you might even discover that you're not paying tax. But government is saying whether you are due for tax or not, every year, please file your tax and put 0 there. Because if you don't file, we'll come for you. So file it and put 0. All right. That is it. So someone is also asking, if that is not included in the educational stuff, are teachers supposed to pay tax because a certain amount is always deducted as salary as tax on my salary? That's very dicey. If you're earning above that threshold because you as a teacher, you are not you are not an educational stuff. You are not a tool. Okay, you are a human. All right, and because these schools somehow, because of some provisions at this, I don't know how this tax reform will be, but when they implement, we would actually see what provisions they are doing and what tax break that should be that should be extended to these guys. So if the schools enjoy this tax break when it's implemented, of course, they should be able to extend it down to their teachers because they're not paying VAT anymore. So there is no way that VAT should be extended to the teachers. But we have to wait till it is implemented. So we see how it falls into it. But if it's implemented that the educational services will not have to pay VAT, then the teachers also might not have to. But in a sense, because of their personal income tax, they'll have to pay the personal income tax. But the VAT might have to be subtracted. Sorry, the VAT might not have to be subtracted from their salaries, but the personal income tax might have to be subtracted because you're earning salaries beyond the taxable margin. So I believe I've answered your question, and that will be all for now. So thank you very much for a wonderful night like this. So in conclusion, let's remember that you can always demand accountability from the government. I want to keep hitting this. Let's not sleep on this one because the truth is that the government wants us to comply. They need compliance from us. They need compliance from us. We also have to demand accountability from them in that regard. If you are in for it and you understand what I'm saying, just drop something on the comment and say, yes, we would agree to it. So they have to give us a certain laid down plan of this is how we should demand for this accountability. Is there a publication that will be done that this is the total number of tax money that was recovered this year? This was how it was spent. It should be published in the national newspaper that this is what the project it was done with. So that everybody will see. It aids transparency. So that everybody would say, yes, I'm satisfied with my tax. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with this, we've come to the end of this class. So again, I'm saying next week, please come around. The sales group will be teaching us something very vital. How you can make so much sales without paying so much tax. In fact, even with having other people pay your tax. So let's see where the burden of tax will fall into and how you can model your business so that the burden of tax will not fall on your business. Please come around and listen to this. Thank you very much. We'll call it a day. God bless us and give us more money so that we can not feel the tax when we pay it.